Hello there, Herbison Woods. This is Mr. Lindsay with a little extra for this castle drawing. I realized after I finished the last video that I didn't really go over blending a whole lot, and there's a few other areas I wanted to go over shading instead of just coloring it in solid, how you can shade. I did mention the shading on these towers in the last video and demonstrated how to shade the cone top to the roof. So those are areas where we can shade, just as you see here. But you can do that in other places too, and with pencil you can even blend your shading to make it a little smooth. Some of you have tried that. You can use a piece of tissue or even your finger and blend it. So where I shaded here, if it doesn't look smooth enough and I want to make it a little bit smoother, I can take my finger and just really carefully smudge over it. Okay, and it's going to get rid of a few of those pencil marks from where I colored and shaded and makes it look a little more smooth. I can already see on the camera that this side looks a little smoother than this side. That's just with a little blending. Now you have to be careful, you don't want to smear over it too crazy because then it just makes it all gray. If I do it carefully, I can still see my dark to light shading, darker on the edge, a little lighter, and then white down the middle. So I was real careful when I blended over that, okay? So you can do that whenever you shade. Other places I can shade instead of just leaving it a solid color or leaving it white. Right inside of this cylinder, which is a tower, I could shade in here and darken this. I'm imagining it's darker in here because there's a shadow in here. Okay, maybe it gets lighter towards the top of those points. Now it actually looks like you can see inside that cylinder. Okay, I could do that with this one also. The front of the building, instead of leaving it blank, I could shade that nicely. What I like to do is either shade this edge a little bit so it's kind of a nice gray all the way down to the bottom, so the edge of that front wall, and then I can blend it a little bit with my finger and then do the other side of that front wall. And then blend it in with my finger a little bit. So now instead of that front wall being just solid white and nothing there, I've done a shadow on each side. So that makes it look a little bit more detailed. I've even had kids that got really fancy and they shaded each brick. It'd be like going around each brick. And each brick, one by one, go around the edges of it and shade it. And then you could blend it in. And then you do the next brick. All the way around the edge of the brick. And then blend it in a little bit. So each brick you could shade one by one. That looks pretty cool too when you're done. Don't forget about shading these towers, kind of like those. Shade along the edge nice and dark. Make it as smooth and neat as you can. Then go in a little bit and do it again, but not quite as dark. And then same on the other side. Dark on the edge. So I'm shading pretty dark here. I'm pressing pretty hard. And then another one right down here, but not quite as hard. I'm pressing lighter so it's not as dark. And then I can do just a little bit of blending to make it look smoother. Shading, okay, that looks nice with pencil and with colored pencil. The inside here, same thing. I could imagine there's a lot of light shining in here and leave that really light, or I could create a shadow and darken the inside of this, kind of like I did the inside of this tower. So I could create a shadow in here and shade this wall a little darker, this wall a little darker, okay, and then blend it in. I could shade above the top edge of the wall and darken the inside of the castle wall a little bit here, and then work my way up and maybe make it get a little lighter as I go up, and then I can smear that in smooth. So it looks really nice. My favorite thing to do with this project is shade the castle. So most of my castle is pencil like this with a few little colorful details. Then I like to color the whole background. So I would make the grass all green, the water and moat would all be blue, The sky could be blue, the mountains could be brown, okay? And then maybe I color my bridge brown to look like wood. So that's what I like to do. I think it looks really good with this project. Shading and pencil for most of your castle. A little bit of color on maybe the tops, the rooftops, the flags, maybe the fire here. Like I said, and then when I get to the background and all the area around my castle, I like to switch to color. Colored pencil works really well for that. So there's the part 2 to that video that I left off of the last one. So gives you a little bit better idea of the shading and color.